Alright, what's up guys, welcome back to another video on this channel, and today I'll be actually explaining to you guys what is the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS. So not only is the difference between the smoothness of the video, it's just not like if you turn on YouTube and watch a 60 FPS video by turning on 720p 60 FPS or 1080p 60 FPS, but actually there's a lot of more stuff going on, and I will be explaining to you guys everything in the terms of a layman. So hope you guys going to enjoy this video, so let's just get this thing started. So first things first, what is actually FPS? So some of you may know that FPS stands for frames per second. Now what does frames per second actually mean? Now frame is actually just like image, it's just one single image, and to make up a video there's actually a lot of collection of images which actually forms the video. Now to explain in a layman's language, FPS doesn't mean that there's actually the more the FPS, it actually means the more the better the quality of the video will be. That's just completely wrong. So there are actually different types of videos that are shot at different frames per second, but there are three major ones, that is 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. Now the movies that we usually watch on the cinema or TV, it's actually shot at 24 frames per second. Now you may wonder why 24 frames per second, why doesn't it shoot at 60 frames per second? Because 60 FPS is definitely better than 24 frames per second, right? Now that's just completely wrong. To create that cinematic effect, to create that cinematic feel, if you play any video at 60 frames per second in the movie theaters or any movies, actually it's actually gonna look so smooth that the video is not even cinematic anymore. People are gonna get sick just because of the motion sickness and the smoothness of the whole video, and movies are just not like made around 60 FPS. Maybe if we are used to making 60 FPS movies, then it may be a whole different thing, but it's not there. Now just because movies are made on 24 frames per second doesn't mean that the other frame per seconds are completely useless. Now let's get into a different scenario. So let's say that we are playing a game. Now in games the whole thing completely changes. If a game is played at 24 frames per second, it's completely gonna ruin the experience of the whole gaming. The gaming should be at least 30 frames per second, and 60 FPS is the best place for gaming, because 60 FPS is as smooth as a video can get around a 60 FPS monitor. But if you have a monitor that is capable of displaying pictures over 60 FPS, then it's definitely much better and much smoother, because the gaming experience, especially in the multiplayer scene, gets pretty competitive and the smoothness of the game is a big matter. Now here's the catch, the videos that you watch on YouTube can actually be as high as 60 frames per second but not above that. Now this is the reason because YouTube actually only supports frame rate up to 60 frames per second. So if there's like a higher frame rate video, let's say 120 FPS and 240 FPS, you just can't like see the difference on YouTube. And actually there's not major difference between 60 FPS, 90 FPS or 120 FPS. You can only see the difference if like you put the monitor side to side and see the video. But you may definitely notice the difference if you shift from 120 FPS to 60 FPS, but not as much as from 60 FPS to 120 FPS. Now if we talk about post-production editing, like software editing on Premiere Pro and other video editing stuff, so most of the cinematics that I shoot them at 60 FPS, because the video gets a little choppy when I slow the video down to 50% for creating a slow motion effect. But if I use a 30 FPS video from the beginning, then I slow it down to 50%, it becomes very choppy, and I cannot actually edit it to create a better slow motion effect as I can do it with 60 FPS. So now I'll be showing you side to side comparison of all these videos and at different frame rate from 20 FPS, 30 FPS and 60 FPS, so that you can get a bigger idea of what the video actually looks like. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to share and subscribe, like the video. Catch you guys in the next one.